There's an organization working to raise awareness of prison gerrymandering. Desmond Meade is the executive director of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, and he's joining us now. Welcome, Desmond.
Thank you for having me, Kimber.
What is gerrymandering?
Well, quite simply put, gerrymandering comes from the redistricting process, right? So every 10 years, you have states throughout the country that draws or redraws lines that would determine how many districts a state would have. And basically, it's used by political parties to gain power. And so, for instance, in these times, you're seeing in Florida the attempt to redraw district lines to build more power in certain areas and to decrease powers of certain popularities. Prison gerrymandering emerges in that process because, and you know, basic one-on-one civics, you know, that the members of the House of Representatives are determined by the population of the states, right? And when you talk about accounting a population in certain areas, it determines whether or not you need more representation, and then you're also trying to determine who is it that you're representing. Well, in the redistricting process, there's a practice of counting people who are incarcerated in those particular counties as residents of that county, right? And that's very problematic because, you know, you have people, say, from Dade County who may be in prison in Escambia County, right? And Escambia County is beginning to count those people as residents of Escambia County, which impacts political power, because now there's a greater political representation in Escambia County when it should have been in Dade County. And then also when you talk about resources, right? So as the federal government is allocating resources based on population density, what you find is that resources that should be going to Dade County are being redirected to Escambia County because bodies are being counted there.
That's very interesting. And how can we stop gerrymandering?
Well, you know, that's a much deeper question, Kimber, because, you know, at the end of the day, when you talk about redistricting and prison gerrymandering, it's all a political game. You know, it's one party trying to take advantage over another party. And it's all the way across the boards, because even in progressive or more Democratic-leaning states, you would still find politicians drawing these lines to take advantage of this opportunity. And so what we have is something that has been in place since the beginning of this country, about politicians trying to choose their voters rather than creating a process where it's an inclusive process to where voters get to choose who actually lead their communities. And so in order to stop prison gerrymandering, you know, at the end of the day, we just got to get rid of politicians and elect more public servants that would govern according to the will of the people and not the will of their respective political parties.
Well, tell us what your organization is doing. Tell us what's the name of it. And
well, my organization, Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, is an organization that have been really focused on empowering people with previous felony convictions. We are an organization that is made up of people who've had some type of negative interactions with our criminal legal system, as well as those who have loved ones who've been impacted. Our mantra is always people over politics, and we're known for leading the effort in Florida in 2018, Amendment 4 effort, to restore voting rights to over 1.4 million people with previous felony convictions. But our mission goes much deeper than that, right? Because what we're about is about how do we elevate the needs of people over partisan politics? How do we bring people together across political and racial lines to create a better community, a better state for everyone that's living in the state? We should not be in a country or a state to where people have to be unsafe in order for other people to feel safe, right? People don't have to feel like they're losing too much in order for other people to live humanely, right? And so we are an organization that don't lean left or lean right. We lean straight forward into issues that impact people with felony convictions, because we believe, just like a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, our society could only be as great as those in our society who's been most weakened right? And so we focus on empowering the segment of population in our community that has been most weakened from systems of oppression and racism and narratives that say that some lives are less valuable than others. And those are people who've been impacted by the criminal justice system, giving them access to democracy, giving them access to fully participate in our economy, and shifting the narrative, right? Because these are people who have been incarcerated or
Right.
convicted of crimes. They're still human beings.
Right.
They're someone's son, daughter, mother, father. And I believe in the depths of my heart that if we can learn to love those who are most despised among us, then we're able to love everyone.
Well, I'm so glad that you joined us, and we appreciate your advocacy in this area because, certainly I have family members who have been affected by these laws. And so, like you said, it affects us all. And so thank you for your work, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
The Florida Rights Restoration Coalition is a grassroots membership organization run by formerly convicted persons who are dedicated to ending the disenfranchisement and discrimination against people with convictions and creating a more comprehensive and humane reentry system that will enhance successful reentry, reduce recidivism, and increase public safety.